Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin spoke to the media about what the government is doing to respond to coronavirus next. Everything that they've done so far has basically been a giant giveaway to corporate America and just crumbs for regular people. Let's see what he's saying now.
But the fundamental issue, and we all acknowledged, there was a technical problem where we were in emergency last time, so we instituted this quickly, and in certain cases people were paid more to stay home than they were to work. And I think that's something that the American public understands. We're not going to use taxpayer money to pay people more to stay home. So we're going to transition to a UI system that is based upon wage replacement. We've talked about approximately 70% wage replacement, and we're just going through the mechanics of that.
All right, so let's talk this through. A 70% wage replacement would be a net cut based off of the way the system is already working now. Now, everything's going to expire, so they have to determine what to do from here on out, but that would be more of a cut than what we had previously. Now, also, I don't think any kind of wage replacement system at this late date can be implemented fast enough. Because we've already seen how antiquated and outdated and primitive a lot of these unemployment systems are. And so they're already overburdened, and now you want to make it a more complex way in order to get funds to people. You can't. Funny enough, these are Republicans. They're supposed to be, in theory, anti-bureaucracy. They're actually asking to add another layer of bureaucracy here, which is going to complicate the process even further, and you're not going to be able to get the money out to people, as soon as they need it. So there's a bunch of problems with it up front. Now, he said there early. See, this is amazing. He said there early. Well, there were some people who were paid more to stay home than to work, and that's not okay. But the solution to that is raise wages, not take away more of the money that they're getting now as a result of the coronavirus. See, they always flip it. They always say like, oh, okay, some people are getting paid more to stay home, so you're incentivizing people to stay home. Okay, if you want to incentivize them to get back to the workplace, you should raise wages. But another question is, if somebody's making more staying home than they were at their job, what if at their job beforehand they weren't making enough money to survive? Because the minimum wage in this country is not a living wage. You can't afford a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in the country on just a minimum wage. You can't do it. You can't do it. So if they weren't making enough money to survive before, and now they just happen to get lucky to get a little bit of a pay increase under, the unemployment system with COVID, when they can't work anyway because the jobs are gone, I say, God bless them. Good. Give them a little bit of a breather. Give them a little bit of a break from this freaking hamster wheel life where they're on the grind all the time, and even when they're working hard every single day, they can't make enough money to survive. Are you kidding me? By the way, I'm going to highly recommend that everybody reads the Reddit unemployment thing, because it is amazing. When you read the post there, it's incredible. People's lives were totally upended. COVID has destroyed so many lives, destroyed so many jobs. This idea that, like, the first thing we should be worried about is, incentivizing people to go back to work. There's still a pandemic, and it's ripping through the country, and there just aren't as many jobs as there were before. A lot of these job losses that we've seen are permanent. They're permanent. So, in many cases, people have nowhere to go back to. They have nowhere to go back to. And they're acting like, well, the problem is we need to incentivize more work. Incentivize people to go back out in a pandemic that's uncontrolled? You shouldn't want to do that. You should want to get the pandemic under control. Do your job and get the pandemic under control, and then things would naturally pick up and things would slowly but surely, build back up to some semblance of normalcy. But as long as you got 140,000 people dead, as long as you got millions of people with COVID, as long as it's spreading uncontrolled, you can't, I'm going to try to incentivize people to go back to a job where they don't even make enough money to survive. I mean, what a joke this is. So, what they look like they're going to settle on is one more $1,200 payment, stimulus check. They may keep it exactly like it was last time, or even limit more the people who get it. But then on top of that, they are trying to determine what to do with the unemployment system. the Republicans do not want to extend the $600 extra unemployment benefit. Now they're talking about the idea that I just laid out here, the 70% wage replacement. Listen, at this late date, what we should have done early on is copy the rest of the developed world, do what Germany did, for example, where if we're going to shut down, okay, you shut down, but the government steps in, pays 75% of everybody's wages. They say nobody's fired, you're just furloughed. Because then the unemployment rate would still be 3% here, as opposed to the real unemployment rate now is 20%. It's officially like 11 or 12. But if we were going to go down this path with the wage replacement and everything and temporarily nationalizing wages, you had to do that from the beginning. See, now everybody's fired, particularly because you didn't protect the jobs early on. So now that we're in that position, there's only one idea which is really the correct idea. Universal basic income. It's the only way. If you add another layer of bureaucracy, the money's going to take too long to get to people. What we should be talking about is $2,000 a month for everybody on a recurring basis. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. Universal basic income, $2,000 a month, at the very least for the duration of the crisis. I would be in favor of, doing Social Security for all, which is continuously, it just keeps going. But that's the fastest, easiest way to try to ameliorate these problems that people are feeling, is you do a universal basic income every single month, $2,000 at the very least for the duration of the crisis, and you can do it in the debit cards because you can get it out quick that way. And I think that's the best path forward. I think right now we're basically rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, and any kind of extra layer of bureaucracy that they add means a bigger headache, means it's not going to get out fast enough, means people are screwed. And you got to remember, guys, we're dealing with a system where 32% of people didn't make their housing payment in July. We're dealing with a system where 28 million might be homeless in the next year or two. We're dealing with a system where 40% of restaurants could go under. We're dealing with a system that's collapsing in on itself. 20% real unemployment. A lot of people who have jobs still took giant pay cuts. We're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. We need to do more, and we need to do it right now. And so, I think that what they're talking about here, since it's a net cut, is not a good idea. And I think that the concern, again, he said, listen, we can't pay people more to stay home than to work. Okay, but like I just said, what happened if when they worked, they didn't make enough money to survive? Then you actually should be paying them more because they should have enough money to survive. But beyond that, this is coming from the frickin' guy who controls $5 trillion and made it rain on corporations with corporate socialism in the CARES Act. So you certainly are paying corporations. You certainly have fully socialized that system for your, crony capitalist buddies who are actually corporatists. So it's okay for corporations to get money for nothing because, hey, there's a pandemic. What are we going to do? We got to keep the system afloat. So just give the corporations whatever they want. Let them loot the treasury. But for regular people, no. Can't do that. We got to incentivize work. We can't have people getting money for nothing. Only the corporations can get money for nothing. You see who they're really working for? You see who they're really beholden to? And it's no surprise because Steve Mnuchin is a Goldman Sachs lackey, and this is the exact kind of Goldman Sachs brainworms that I would expect him to have.